Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out in the wild at Glen Spean Brewing Company. So we are here in Glen Spean Brewing Company. This is their gorgeous little shop. Where are we? We're in Glen Spean, right? This is
Glen Spean, which is right in the West Highlands. We are just outside the village of Spean Bridge.
fantastic. This is James, co-owner and head brewer here at Glen Spean Brewing Company. Is that the correct? Every brewery does a slightly different take.
Yeah,
Brewing Co, Brewing Company, Just Brewery, Brew Co. The amount of times I get it wrong is tedious.
Glen Spean Brewing Company.
Okay, fantastic. So we're in their little shop that you can access pretty much every weekend and occasionally during the week if you're lucky. I think.
We tend through the summer from April through to the end of September. It's open pretty much every day. As there's always somebody on site, we brew through the week, and the shop's open from 10 till about 4 most days. In the winter months, it's a little bit reduced. We tend to open when there's somebody here brewing, which will be a couple of times during the week, and we'll just put the sign open down the bottom of the drive. But we're still open every weekend as well.
Fantastic.
And then December, we're also open as well.
Excellent. And if you do come up this way, it is not just beer, as you can probably see behind us. There's all of Glen Spean's beers are kind of on that side of the shop, and then a vast collection of curated wines by this gentleman here behind us, which do look, I mean, I wouldn't know where to start really. They all look fantastic. More kind of mixed packs that you kind of can't see of Glen Spean's beer, some a variety of local ciders, and then of course the great Scotch whisky collection, plus a few gins and other bits over on the other side. And you do also quite a large line of your own merchandise.
Yeah, we've got
very nicely put together.
All organic t-shirts and hoodies and beanies. All of the whiskies and gins are all pretty local. Most of them with the Daffies, the Ben Nevis, the Nickneen, the Craig Do, Fastfern, and the Ballahoolish spirits, so the Pixel spirits. All very, very local indeed. Within striking distance, you can almost hit a golf ball.
Ben Nevis is incredibly close. Is that the closest one on here?
Ben Nevis is the closest, as that is in just on the outskirts of the town of Fort William. And we can see Ben Nevis from the brewery here.
You can, in fact, in the shot that you will have probably seen already out of the car park, you can see the vast array of mountains.
Nevis range.
So that's a great bit about kind of local produce and industry, but the people want to know about beer. So we'll try and do a bit of a quick fire. We'll do a quick fire. How did you start? How did you get to this point? And then we'll go through basically all of your beers to have a quick kind of go over the range, if you like. So how long have you been doing this is the first question.
So we started test brewing in 2017. We originally bought the old Glenfinnan brewery.
Okay.
And had that brew house and equipment all reconditioned. Started brewing with that at the end of 2017 with 2 test brews, the IPA and the Blonde. We're pretty happy with those, put them into full production in early 2018. Got crazy busy, had to expand, order another couple of fermentation tanks, so we ended up having 4 fermentation tanks, brewing 4 times a week. That still wasn't quite enough, so at the end of 2018 we moved on the original equipment and bought a much larger kit, which was over twice the size. So we now have a 12-barrel brewery, and originally it was around about 5 barrels.
Wow, that's some acceleration in 3 years. Considering that 18 months of those 3 years we can almost write off.
Well, 2020. But the funny thing is that if 2020 and COVID hadn't have happened, this little shop might not have happened as well, because the license for it came through the week before COVID struck and we were all
Right.
locked down, so we had to have something to do. So
the shop
the
materialised.
shop materialised, and we ended up delivering to people's doors.
That's good, because I've been coming up here for a few years now, and I was kind of surprised when I first came here. I was like, have I not been here before? But actually, it turns out that when I came for the first time would have been the first time you would have been open, since we were allowed back up. So, so that's not. So it was all right. I was unawareingly ahead of the game on that one.
Yeah, you went out of touch. Don't worry.
Absolutely. So I mean, a lot of breweries have kind of said the same, in that there's this weird. It depends kind of where you were in your growth cycle. Some people who were almost exclusively doing very well, but to trade, COVID was terrible. Meanwhile, those who were either just growing or kind of starting to get a bit of popularity through either supermarkets or direct home sales, suddenly through the roof, because that was the only option.
COVID was kind of a blessing in disguise. It gave us time to take stock.
Mm-hmm.
We are small enough and nimble enough to be able to kind of just shut down the brewery itself, and we don't have to lay loads of people off. There was just a couple of guys furloughed, and that was it.
That's great.
And it allowed us time to concentrate on home delivery, and the byproduct of being able to deliver to people's doorsteps whilst everybody was stuck at home was that people who would not have normally been aware of us, became aware of us.
Yeah.
And we were able to, drop a case of Snow Goose or Blonde or whatever it was off to their doorstep and keep them going through the dark days.
And I'm sure they'll keep coming back to you going forward as a result of that.
I think that the shop does seem to be doing well, and I think we see a lot of people that nowadays that we certainly wouldn't have seen otherwise. I'm sure.
Yeah, cool. So on to your beers then. I've been fortunate enough today to witness the brewing of Snow Goose Lager, which is I think one of the big ones. So we'll probably touch on that. Touch on that first in a second. Now, I have reviewed that video. I'll pop a link up. I believe it goes up on that side of the screen, so you can go and watch that after this. Open it in a new tab. Don't click off. But it was quite an eye-opening lager for me, because that was really. I mean, you said that people haven't quite described it as I described it, but you kind of agreed. But I found it very different, to the point that I nearly rang you up and said, is this right? Not in a bad way. It's exceptional. I just thought this must be some matured kind of special art, some.
We really didn't want to make a run of the mill pilsner. We wanted to have something a little bit more unusual, with much more body to it, and a weight to it. It just so happens that it's really got some weight.
It really has got some weight.
And but it's become incredibly popular. Last year it won the SEBA Gold for best lager in Scotland, which was fantastic.
Best lager, and that's quite a high accolade, given Scotland's got some real secret hidden gems when it comes to lagers.
Yeah. No, we were incredibly proud of that. That was fantastic, and but it just keeps building, and people that give it the time. It's a grower. Yeah, it's a grower.
It does. The first sip is, if you're not expecting it and haven't been given a description, is what is that? What is this? Is it? I say, when I said before, I didn't think it was wrong. I thought the wrong label was on the bottle. I thought, this is something super special. I ended up buying a 12-pack of some barrel aged thing. It was totally blown me away. So it has got because of the water here, it's got kind of a smoky, peaty.
There is a hint to it, and I think it's also a byproduct of our place and our brewing process. Yeah. We use very traditional methods. There's very little intervention in our brewing, and no intervention. We don't treat our water at all, and I think that does come through in the place. And funnily enough. Going back to 2018, we sent some beer, the Pale Blonde, in fact, over to a brewer in Chicago, who had stayed locally and had come by and wanted to try some, and we sent some over to him, and his brewer contacted us and said, "What do you do to your water?" And I said, "Nothing."
That is how it falls off the mount.
Yeah, that's how it comes. That's how it comes through the earth, and that was something that people have picked up on the purity and of the water is really
it gives it
something else.
It gives it a slight Scotch whisky vibe, but it's very diluted. It's very low. And to the point that I've said a few times, I actually...
Gentle.
Yeah, I don't really get on with Scotch whisky. I enjoy the idea of the flavour. For whatever reason, it gives me very almost instant heartburn. I don't know why. It's if I can drink American whiskies and Irish whiskies, fine. But I kind of like the idea of the flavour, but it's just a bit too much in that Scotch format. But whereas in that Snow Goose, it's just you get those flavours.
It's aged for a long time in the whisky, whereas not so long.
Yeah, it's nice, a nice fresh version of it, if you like.
Yes.
So I would recommend anyone who likes the sound of that definitely to give it a go. So the first two beers that you did were the pale and the IPA.
Yeah, the pale blonde and the hybrid IPA.
So out of those first two, which one came first, and what was the thought process before kind of going to the next one, if you like? How did that come about?
I wanted two starkly different beers. I personally prefer lighter styles of beer, so that the pale blonde came from pure selfishness of me wanting to make something that I would enjoy drinking myself. The IPA kind of a little bit on the back of the success of IPAs at the moment and has been for several years. But we wanted to make our own a real true session IPA. Many IPAs these days are quite strong and very heavily hopped. I wanted to make something that was far more accessible and something that somebody would pick one up, and if they enjoyed it, they'd maybe pick another two or three up as well. And something that would, at the end of the day, we're a business. You want these things to sell. So they needed to be accessible. And from that, and they both did quite well in the first year or so, and from that, we then started to look at the possibility of making a lager. And although there was some hesitance, and it was, it did seem like a natural step. And after that, then it was Snow Goose. Yeah.
Okay. So the first three were all fairly light beers. At what point did you then switch it and go into the darker stuff? So obviously you've got the porter, which I tried for the first time the other day, which was excellent, but hopefully a review coming very soon. And you've got a red. They're your two kind of darker offerings, aren't they?
So the amber was next, and we have been very lucky to see a real revival of the red squirrels in the area. There are pine martins around, but the pine martins are a little bit too chubby to take out a red squirrel because they can get right to the very end of the branches. So there's been a real fantastic revival in the red squirrels in the area. And we were looking for something deeper, darker, more nutty, an autumn beer, and one of the owners, Ian Peter, he likes the slightly darker styles, so we started playing on that. So I started testing a few recipes out, and hit on the one that we ended up with, and within 2 or 3 brews we'd tweaked it enough for it to be what we thought was good enough, and now it's a very, very popular beer, and has also ended up in keg as well. We've got it selling in keg, which we're really pleased about. And it's awesome. Very popular, and I think it does. Again, it's a little bit stronger than the rest of the core range of ales, but it doesn't knock your socks off. And again, it's a very easy drinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Amber.
For sure. It's got packed full of flavour, but not too much to knock you over.
Not too much to knock you over. No.
Excellent. And then obviously the porter. It's not a straight up porter, is it? It's a. even though I only drank it a few days ago, my mind is already blank. I can peek over at the case, but I can't make it out from the small writing on that.
So the porter, we decided to we wanted to make a classic English style porter,
Yeah.
but with our own water here, would give it a slight difference. Yeah. But then again, probably being selfish more than anything, I'm not a huge fan of porter.
Okay.
I struggle with its almost its sourness, with its bitterness.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try and use some flavours that would soften and sweeten that slightly.
Yeah.
But only just. I didn't want to give it a good whacking of fruit and sweetness. So we decided to go with Scottish blackcurrant, which we get from BREWERY, which is just down the road, still in the Highlands, and Madagascan vanilla, which we don't find too much around.
Not too local, that one.
Not too local, no. But it just seemed to give the roundness. The vanilla gives the roundness and softens it, and the blackcurrant gives it a little bit of fruit, and a little bit of sweetness. Yeah. But we don't add a huge amount of either.
No, and that shows. That shows. Yeah. It's I'm giving a bit away from a future video, but it is. It's subtle in all the right ways.
Subtle, yeah. Just
don't expect heaps of. But it's not an additive beer, if you like.
No,
it's very popular right now.
Yeah,
So
it's not like a Copperberg fruit cider or something like that. That's very heavily fruit driven.
No.
It's just there just to give a kind of suggestion. Almost.
Yeah, that's it. But that is also another excellent beer. I'm conscious of how much time I've taken up of yours today, so I'm going to just land with you with a couple more questions. What's coming next for Glen Spean?
So we are putting eventually through the course of into early next year, putting all of the beers into can. So at the moment, all of the beers are sold in 500ml bottle, and we sell the IPA, the Snow Goose, the Red Revival, and the Gold in keg, and we sell the IPA, the Red Revival, and the Blonde in cask. So we're going into can, firstly with the Snow Goose by Christmas, hopefully, touch wood.
Yeah.
If I can find some around here somewhere. So we're going to put them into two formats. We're going to put it into 330 and 440. So 440 will be a bigger pack.
Yeah.
For the people that want, kind of like a party pack almost.
Yeah. And
then we will put the 330s into 4 packs. And then next year we will start to add the rest of the range.
Fantastic. Yeah. And should also point out, I did ask this question earlier. The bottles are staying.
Oh, bottles are staying. Yeah. We sell a huge amount of bottles, and they have got there is a market for them. The restaurants. Many of the shops want to retain bottle, and it's a different market for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll round out with one question. It's probably not the question that most people would round an interview out with, but I'm interested. Was interested to see how people position themselves in what is, let's be honest, not a straightforward market. There's a lot of variety and adaptation in beer. Do you see yourself solely as a traditional brewery? Do you see yourself as more craft leaning, somewhere in the middle? Or are you kind of like to think you're doing entirely your own thing and almost ignoring what everyone else is doing, which I think is where a lot of people would like to be, but in reality is probably quite difficult to achieve.
The latter I don't think is almost feasible these days.
It's almost impossible. I think there's probably one or two very small oddities out there, but in large part. And even then,
the things that you can put into beer, whether it's crickets or anything, has probably been done before. So no, I like to think of us as a traditional craft brewery.
Okay.
We are fairly mainstream, but I like to think that the individuality of our place, our water, and our ethos gives us just a little bit of a different edge.
I think so.
And yeah, we just like making great beer, and that's it.
Excellent. That's a perfect way to round this out. I think great beer is what everyone's striving for. I'll say, James, thank you very much for having me here and showing me around and taking the time to do this.
No problem at all.
If anyone's ever up in the Highlands, this is not far off the NC 500 route particularly.
Not at all. No.
Come and check it out. I've yet to find a brewery with an in-house shop at this kind of nice medium, if you like. There's people out there with vast shops because they've got vast breweries, and let's be honest, we can buy most of their stuff in Tesco, so it's not that interesting. Meanwhile, a lot of the smaller ones do very limited stores in what are often not very interesting locations, whereas this is just, this is incredible. So, and you can even stay on site here, if I'm not mistaken. You've got a bed and breakfast.
We have a bed and breakfast next door, yeah.
So, and what's that called for the people who want to stay right close to a brewery?
Turndrish House B&B.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll find that and pop a link down in the description for anyone who wants to take a look. But that's everything from us here at Glen Spean, unless we find something else of super importance we'll flip the camera back on for. But otherwise, as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it if you haven't already subscribed, if you will be so kind, and well, please do, because it'll make James happy. Cheers.
Sure will.
Bye bye.